Hello everybody and welcome back to another CB Showtunes tutorial. Now today what we're going to do is we are going to be continuing on, I believe, part 5 of our tutorial series on creating a video game. Now today what we're going to do is we are going to be covering how to set up enemies, basically the enemy movement to where they follow you, start attacking you, and of course we're going to be adding the health system and all that good stuff as well. So that's going to be super awesome. So without further ado, let's get started. Now, to begin with, you're going to need to do the same thing as we did with our resource node. We are going to need to get another canvas for our character. And of course, we are going to be adding a particle system, importing our FBX, and of course, adding a stat script and a player controller script or enemy control script. So let's go ahead and see how we did this. So I'm going to go and disable this and disable the resource nodes so they're out of the way. Okay, so the first thing that you need to do is you need to import your enemy character. So here is our enemy character, we just drag them inside the scene. And of course we want to add in our animator controller. Now if you don't have an animator controller, right click and create animator controller. Now if your character does not have this animator pop up automatically, that means it doesn't have a skeleton attached to it or it doesn't have an animation attached to it. So you may want to use either a different character or something like that. Okay, so let's go ahead and drag our animator controller on here. Now this animator controller is set up just like we did with our other animator controller on our player, except it's a little bit different. So I'll go ahead and explain it. So here we have a couple different parameters. We have is attacking, is boolean. Okay. Right here we have connected to our any state armature die. So basically whenever we die, we're going to activate that. And for our transition, this little dash right here, we're going to set it as is dead. And we're going to make sure has exit time is equal to true. Now you could set that to false if you want to, but it's no biggie. Okay, so for our default state, we set it as idle. And for our transition to move, we have it set to our conditions as is idle is equal to false, and is attacking is equal to false, and has exit time is off. And of course the transition back is idle is equal to true, and is attacking is equal to false. And of course we have our fight animation, which of course we have the same thing. If is attacking is equal to true, and this is the same thing on the move to fight, is attacking is equal to true, and reverse for all of those. Pretty simple. Now we also have has exit time is equal to true on these because we want them to finish out the fighting animation. We don't want them just to keep on moving afterwards. It just looked weird, Now if you don't know where I got these animations, I simply pulled them from here. And if you have the animation from like a non-skin mesh, say for instance if you downloaded it from Mixamo, then it will be like here, 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 and here. It'll look like a prefab essentially, like that. But yeah, if you have it from something like Blender or another animation software, then it will look something like this. Now, make sure that you select your FBX if it is from here. So you're going to be finding your animation. So I have mine in Blender, which means that it's going to be on the character itself. And I'm going to find this animation panel. I'm going to roll down and then find my animations. And I'm going to make sure that fight is set to loop time and loop pose. Idle is set to loop time, loop pose. And move is set to loop time, loop pose. Then you're going to hit apply. Okay. So now since we discussed how to set up our animator, we're going to add in a couple things. So for starters, we're going to need to add a nav mesh. So the nav mesh agent is going to allow us to move our character around the screen. We're going to set the base offset up by a little bit. So maybe a negative 0.2. And if I roll in, you could see this right here. And the reason why we have it set up as that is so then the character will drop down lower. It's just something I like to do. And I'm going to go and check some of the other presets. Now this is something that you would just set up based on your own personal preference. I just have mine set up as as like this right here. Okay, so that looks pretty good. Okay, so we're also going to add in oh, by the way, it doesn't really matter what these are. You just need to make sure that your radius is set to about 1.2 or around your character fully. You also need to make sure that your speed or acceleration is set to about 8, and then everything else will be taken care of by the script. Okay, so let's go ahead and add in a rigid body, and just like always, we're going to freeze the rotation on the constraint tab. We can set collision to continuous dynamic if you want to. That one is optional. And we can raise the mass up. I'm thinking 500 is pretty good. Okay, so we're also going to need to add in a capsule collider. This will be for the physics object. We're going to go over to edit collider, and we want to drag it up to about the top of the character, drag it a little bit higher, just so the character can fall down a little bit. So there we go. That looks pretty good. We also want to drag it a little bit wider, maybe. Okay, that looks great. Let me check this one real fast just to make sure that we are running this pretty good. Okay, so that one's set to a little bit wider. I'm trying to make sure that this is about the same in widths and all, because you know it can get a little bit messy. Okay, that looks pretty good. Alright, so go ahead and select edit collider again, and let's go and close that. And we're going to add in a capsule collider as well, or not a capsule collider, a sphere collider. And this sphere collider we're going to be using as our interaction tool. Now you don't need to adjust this except for setting it as is trigger. And once we get to the script, I'll explain why we have that. Okay, so we now have all the components for our character. So you're going to go over to the prefabs folder, or if you don't have a prefabs folder, then you probably need to create one, and then simply drag that into it. Once you have done that, you're going to select it and make sure that you change the tag to enemy. If you don't have an enemy tag, go to add tag, press the plus key, type in enemy, then reselect your character, select it, and then press enemy. Okay, so now we're going to cover the stat character information, or stat script. Sorry about that. Okay, so the stat script is a very simple script, and I'll go ahead and explain it real fast. So let's go ahead and head over there. Okay, so underneath the stat script, this will be inside the comment section below because it is quite a long script. Now, we don't have this one working right now, the damage multiplier per level, but it's there just in case you want to be able to add that. Okay, so we have a public bool is player, public bool is dead, and then of course we have this header. That's basically the little information tab we have there. And we have public int level, which is equal to 1, damage multiplier by level. Like I said, that right there is not working as of yet, but you know, once it does, it'll be great. So we have public int level max is equal to 0, sets the max level for a game. And right now we could set that max to, I don't know, 10 perhaps. So let's go ahead and set that to 10. Yeah, that sounds good. Okay, let's go save that. We have a public float health max, which equal to 100. Public float health regen equal to a 0.05. This is basically how much we're going to be regenerating health every single second, or every single frame. We have a public slider, which is health bar. And if you type in public slider and it gets an error, you're going to need to type this in at the top using unityengine.ui. This is just like an add-on or an extension that allows you to be able to use the UI references like sliders and text and inputs, controllers and all of that sort of stuff. Okay, so next you're going to see this header, player only. This will be health, XP, XP max, which is equal to 100. Okay, so technically health is not player only, so I can actually move that like that, enter, and Control V. Just because it technically is not just a it's not just the player's health. Okay, anyway, we go to the void start. Health is equal to health max. So we set our health to the max health. We say health bar dot max value is equal to health max. So we're grabbing our health bar, making sure that it's equal to the max. And then we set the health bar value to health. So we have is dead is equal to false. Perfect. All right. So now we have a void fixed update. If not is update, or if is not dead. So basically, whenever we're not dead, we're going to have these things work. If we're dead, then it's not going to work. So update stat bar, check XP, locked back stats, and health regeneration. So underneath the locked max stat is health is greater than health max. Health is equal to health max. Basically, if health is greater than, it's going to equal to health max. If health is less than 0 or equal to 0, then you're going to die. That's pretty simple. We have void check XP. So if XP is greater than or equal to XP max and n is player, we're going to activate level up. Underneath the void level up, we're going to say if level is greater or less than level max. Is that less than level? Oh yeah. If level is less than level max, then we're going to activate level plus equals 1. We're going to say XP is equal to XP minus XP max. Now this function sounds a little bit weird, so I'll explain it. What this is saying that if I have 106 XP, I'm going to subtract my XP max, which is 100, so that's going to equal 6 XP. Right? So now my XP is going to equal 6 when I start out at the beginning. So in other words, we're not going to have basically, it's not going to reset our XP to 0. It's just going to set our XP to 6 instead. So it's not going to be a linear, you get 5 points, you get 25 points and all. It's going to be a flat out as many points as you can get. So it's super cool. And then, of course, we're going to set XP max multiplied equals 2. So once it was 100, now it's 200, now it's 400, and so on. Then we're going to say else return. So basically, we're not going to have this happen if we reach our max level. Okay, underneath the void, update stat bar. This is basically going to be controlling our health bar values. If you're not is player, actually we could just erase that because health bar is going to be updating anyway, so let's go ahead and do that. Sorry, I had this thing set up for a stamina character and mana character, so it's just like, Okay, so let's get that backed out. There we go. So yeah, health bar dot value is equal to health. So it's going to continually update this if you're alive. We have void health regeneration. So health plus equals health regen. Constantly updating while you're alive. And of course, void die. Now this is a little tricky, but it works. So if is dead is equal to true, or not if, but we're going to say is dead is equal to true. we're going to change our tag to untagged, so our character is stopped. The enemy is going to stop attacking the character. This is specifically for the enemy because the player, technically, you can continually attack the enemy even if they're dead, but it basically stops the damage. And then we have destroy game object after 3 seconds. And of course we have if is not a player, we're going to say game object dot get component normal enemy dot activate die. Okay? And we have else camera.main.transform.parent is equal to null and return. So basically, once we activate is dead, the camera is going to hop off the character object, say for instance the player. If it's not on the player, it's not going to worry about it, but if it is on the player, then it will take it off the player. So that's super cool. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and make sure that everything is good. Perfect. Okay. So now we have our stats set up. We're also going to need to add our enemy control, yeah, there it is. Normal enemy. So this normal enemy script is a very, very simple script. So let's go and pull that up. Now it looks very complicated. I mean, there's a lot of information here, but it is very simple. So make sure you did add that to the enemy, and let's go and cover it. So at the very top, you're going to make sure that you're using UnityEngine.ai. Next, you're going to say public bool is aware, public bool is attacking, public bool is dead. Now I'm going to have to rush a little bit because, this tutorial is getting pretty long, but yeah. So we have a sphere collider called Cole. We have a public float called aware distance. We set this to 10. This basically is the distance or size of this collider. We're going to say public float attack distance is equal to 2. This is private game object player. So attack distance is going to be equivalent to our nav mesh stopping distance. Okay, so nav mesh agent, we're going to grab anim. Animator, we're going to grab anim. Public particle system, we're going to call it PS. Underneath the void start, we're going to say nm is equal to get component nav mesh agent. nm.stopping distance is equal to attack distance, as I said earlier. Anim is equal to get component animator. Col get component sphere collider. ps dot particle system. The reason why we put ps is equal to ps dot is because we're grabbing the public particle system and then we're going to be getting its component. Then we're going to say col.radius is equal to aware distance. Player is equal to game object.find player. anim.setBool is idle, true. And is dead is equal to false. I know a lot of information, like I said, but it works. So this right here, I'm going to explain it because it is a little bit complex, but here it goes. So if our character is aware, so if it knows that the player is around and it's not dead and it looks inside the scene and it can find the player, then we're going to activate this. So only searches when aware and whenever it finds the player and it's not dead. So float distance is equal to vector3.distance transform.position player.transform.position. So it takes the distance between our current position or the enemy position and then the player position. Next, we're going to judge the distance and set the attack mode. Distance is less than or equal to attack distance, then is attacking is equal to true. And we're going to activate our animation or set the bool of is attacking is equal to true. Otherwise, we're going to say if distance is greater than attack distance, is attacking is equal to false. anim.setBool is attacking is equal to false. Then we're going to put judges whether attacking or moving towards player. So if is attacking, anim.setDestination, transform.position. And we're also going to say anim.setBool is idle is equal to true. Otherwise, we're going to say anim.setDestination, player.transform.position. anim.setBool is idle is equal to false. Now outside all of that, so if we're not aware of the character, we're going to basically say else anim.setDestination our position. anim.setBool is idle is equal to true. Anim.setBool is attacking is equal to false. Okay, lastly, we're going to take a look at our trigger stay and trigger exit right here. We're also going to cover die. But basically, underneath the onTrigger stay, you're going to put other.tag is equal to player, or if other.tag is equal to player, isAware is equal to true. This is basically grabbing the coal collider or the sphere collider, and it's going to be checking that. And of course, if other.tag is equal to player underneath the void exit, then isAware is equal to false, and anim.setBool is idle is equal to true. Lastly, we have public void die. So if you're dead, or if not is dead, then we're going to activate anim.setBool is attacking is equal to false, anim.setTrigger is dead, particle system, we're going to activate it, and then is dead is equal to true. And this, of course, is going to be inside the comments section as well. Okay, and now the very last thing that we're going to need to do is, first off, let's go ahead and make sure we have a nav mesh. So select the object that you want the nav mesh to be attached to. Make sure that is set to static. Go over to the navigation panel. If you don't got that, you could just simply need to select Windows and then find navigation. Once that's up, you're going to go over to bake and then select bake, and it will bake your area for you. Pretty simple. Okay, so you're going to go over to your mushroom or to the enemy that you have, and what we're going to do is we are going to be attaching a damage script to it. So I'm going to grab where I want it to have a damage script, and let's go ahead and add a box collider. And we're going to set this as isTrigger. Let's go ahead and roll out so I could see what it's doing. And we're going to lower it down to 0.05, 0.05, 0.05. There we go. And what this is we're going to be adding our damage script on here. I almost forgot about it because, this has been taking a little bit of time actually. But it's all good. We all got patience, right? Okay, so we just basically add in our collider script. That's pretty awesome. And we're going to add in a damage script. Now this damage script, we're not going to be covering too much. We are going to need to change this. Now we're going to leave it the same. Okay, so the damage script, it is very simple. It's basically going to be this right here. Now, I'm not going to post this, so you will have to copy this and put it on your character. So we have a public float, damage is equal to 10. Private void on trigger X enter. We're going to say if other.tag is equal to player, and gameObject.tag is equal to enemy. We're going to say other.getComponent stats health minus equals damage. Otherwise, if our tag is equal to enemy and our game object is equal to, let's say, enemy. Actually, no, player. Then we're going to say other.getComponent stats.health minus equals damage. Otherwise, we're going to return. And what this does is basically, if it's our personal character that's dealing the damage and it hits us, it's not going to deal damage in comparison to if it was like, the enemy that we're hitting. So yeah, that's pretty simple. Okay, so now since we have that all set up, we're going to grab our mushroom. We're going to make sure that we have a particle system inside it as a child. So right click, go to effects, particle system. I'm going to just quickly set this up. Rotate it on the x-axis by -90. And go 1, 1. Start size 0.5. Just make it like red or whatnot. And of course emission, change it to about 100. And we're going to take off play on awake. Going to take off looping. And grab our mushroom. Make sure that you save it as your prefab by selecting apply up here. And drag your particle system on there. And there we go. So now if we press play, whoops, something went wrong. Okay, let's go ahead and drag that inside there as our mushroom too. It didn't want to grab the particle system because it wasn't a... no, that wasn't it. Let's go ahead and check this out. Object reference not set to an instance of an object. Sorry guys, this thing is just bugging right now. Oh, duh. Alright, so remember earlier how I said we needed a canvas on this character, right? So that's what we forgot to put on here. So you could copy the resource canvas that you had and then just simply drag this up there. There we go. So yeah, just make sure that you have your health bar canvas like so. That would make sense, guys. We need the health bar. So yeah, just drag your health bar on inside there like that. Now we are finished. Okay, so we're going to hit play. We're going to go check out where our mushroom is. Wherever he is. There we go. We walk forward. As you can see, he starts following us, and he starts attacking. That's pretty awesome. Now, he's a little tall to be dealing damage, so yeah, he won't be dealing damage right now. But alright, yeah. So you could attach this damage script to your, enemy or your character, and it will work just fine. Alright, I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. If you did, make sure that you leave a like, subscribe, check out some of my other videos, and I'll see you guys next time.